Welcome. I've often said how fond I am of a good remaster, and let's face it, the PlayStation 4 has a decent library of them. So here is part 1 of what I think are some of the best remasters on Sony's PlayStation 4. And as you can see, we are beginning with Destroy All Humans. This was originally a PlayStation 2 and an OG Xbox release in the early to mid 2000s. As you can hopefully see, it's had a stupendous graphical overhaul, making it look like an 8th generation game. Really well done. And they've managed to keep the essence of the game with the gameplay and story fully intact. My favourite things about this game are, one, it's absolutely hilarious. You're going around as a crypto Spiridion, alien scout, checking out planet Earth, seeing if it's ripe for invasion. And for some reason, you sound a bit like Jack Nicholson. And he is just witty and funny all the way through. The other part is, of course, you get to be the baddie. You've got an alien armoury fully at your disposal, psychokinetic abilities, body snatching, and a flying saucer when you want to level an entire town. What more could you ask for?
What a bunch of losers. Minds like mud. This planet is easy pickings. You dirty rats! Let's get funky.
Another game which will put a smile on your face because it also manages to have a sense of humour. And that is Saints Row the Third, my favourite in the series. Originally released back in 2011 on the 7th gen, this title is still a favourite of mine. And with the 2022 game not being particularly well received, we're unlikely to get a new entry anytime soon. So it's the perfect chance to revisit an old favourite. The Saints and their world have genuinely never looked better. It kicks off straight away action-packed in the middle of a robbery. You end up dumped in a random city for reasons I won't spoil. And what else is there to do other than rebuild the gang and take over for yourself? When the first two Saints Row games were originally released, it was criticised as a potential GTA clone. I promise you, it is so much more. It is wild, it's zany, it's hours of fun. Saints Row, baby! If you haven't played it, you owe it to yourself. Pick one of them up. The fourth one is also available as a remaster on the PS4 as well. Arguably, when you're talking about the remaster done the absolute best on the PS4, you would probably turn to Mafia, the Definitive Edition, and that's the game I'm going to mention here. Originally a 6th generation game, it has been remastered to absolute perfection. Just look how good this game looks. It pushes the PS4 to its limits graphically, and they've improved the quality of life, some of the controls and gameplay to bring it up to scratch as well. Mafia 2 is also not bad, and you can get this as part of a collection with all 3 Mafia games. Just don't play the third one, it sucks. At the time of GTA clones, when this came out, it really set itself apart, and it did that not only with a superb story, but serious attention to detail to give a proper 1930s setting, from the clothes to the cars to even how the characters speak. This game has been done absolutely fantastically. And if you did play this back on the 6th gen, yes, the race car levels are still there, yes, they're still really difficult, but don't let it put you off playing this superb game. Okay, slight cheat putting a collection of games on here, but spoiler alert, not the last time I'm going to do it. This is Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the full trilogy of the first 3 games. Now, if you've played them already, yes, I'm aware the ending of the third game isn't for everybody, but that doesn't take away from the fact this plays like a full-on space opera. It could rival Star Trek with its storytelling and character development. This is definitely not a short trilogy, you're looking at 90 hours plus, but you will enjoy every minute of it. You'll enjoy interacting with all the different characters, going through the different locations. The gameplay is fantastic, honestly. It was always fantastic when they originally came out on the 7th gen, and it just looks absolutely brilliant now. I cannot recommend this series enough. If you're into your space games, or if you like your narrative heavy games, give this one a go. If you like things like Star Trek, Firefly, again, this could be a game for you. Shepard is a fantastic character, one you'll really enjoy being. This is a very deep space RPG, quite possibly one of the absolute best if you look at the trilogy as a whole. I definitely still prefer this to Starfield, and I think you will too. If you haven't played these games before, don't be daunted by playing free games. Don't be daunted by the length. It will fly by, and you'll be very, very glad you did.
Yes.
Shenmue 1 and 2. As far as I'm aware, this is only available as both games together. Physically, I don't know about digitally. And also I do know some people like to pronounce it Shenmue. I don't know why, but it's fun to say. Little bit of trivia, when this was first developed for the Sega Dreamcast, this was at the time the most expensive game to ever be developed. This is definitely a narrative heavy game. It is set in 1980s Japan and China, and you are in pursuit of your father's killer. A relatively simple and, dare I say, done before premise, but done very well. Yes, as you can see from what you're watching now, it does have the combat involved. It's more of a beat 'em up than anything else, but there's also a lot of investigating, flushing out the story and deciding where to go. It was ahead of its time, and is still fun to play both games now. And of course, you can also pick the third one up on the PS4 as well. Hours of fun to be had. Now we're at a game which I keep meaning to give its own video because it deserves it. Far Cry 3. Still regarded by many as the greatest in the series, and I've got to say I struggle to argue that one, although I do really enjoy Far Cry 5 as well. If you're not familiar with this, you take on the role of Jason Brody. You're on holiday with your friends, all is well. Then you end up in the fictional Rook Islands in the Thailand area, and it's run by pirates. It has got possibly the most memorable baddie in the entire Far Cry series, in the form of Vars. Easily one of the most memorable video game villains, to me at least, of all time. And the development of you, the protagonist Jason Brody, is done very well. You start off as just a normal American teenage, so early 20s kid. You hook up with the local tribe because you want to rescue your friends, and they're obviously against the pirates as well, and you become a folk hero, a freedom fighter, and you wrestle with this role. On the one hand, you're pleased to be being successful, on the other, you've gone from never having hurt a fly to killing dozens upon dozens of baddies, a point of character development often ignored in video games. The more modern Far Cry games have come away from the crafting mechanics because things need to evolve. This is the old school where you have to go and hunt out specific animals, skin their hides, and then you use them to craft things such as extra ammo pouches, extra slings to carry more weapons, things like that. The gameplay and graphics on this blew my mind when I first played it on the 7th gen when it first came out, and it's still an absolute riot today. It's got everything: gameplay, story, location, graphics, characters. It's just a complete 10 out of 10 game to me, and I hope you think so too. Possibly my most used disc on my PlayStation 4 is the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. It brings the first 3 games originally released on the PlayStation 3, Drake's Fortune, Among Thieves, and Drake's Deception, to the PS4 with definitely enhanced graphics. You'll particularly notice the difference between the first one, Drake's Fortune, and this version of it. Much, much better graphically. I don't really feel a need to introduce or sell these games because if you're a PlayStation player, you'll have come across them, and how can you play them and not love them? Yes, you can call in Dude Raider because there's definitely influence there from Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. Yes, there's also influence there, especially in the 4th one, from Indiana Jones. But do you know what? Indy and Lara, 2 of the best characters and part of the best franchises in media of all time. So the fact we've got another one like it is only a good thing to me. Any Uncharted game is an absolute riot. Character heavy, story driven, cinematic, full, action sequence, explosions, gunfights. What more do you want? I called Far Cry 3 a 10 out of 10 game just now, and as far as I'm concerned, all the Uncharted games are 10 out of 10 as well. And now we have another collection. I told you I was cheating a little bit. This is the Assassin's Creed Ezio collection, starring everybody's favourite assassin, Ezio Auditore di Firenze. I really hope I pronounced that right. And when I say everybody's favourite assassin, well, he's definitely mine anyway. I've often said that Black Flag is one of my favourite games of all time and my favourite Assassin's Creed game, but this collection of 3 games together is definitely up there as well. They do look a little bit dated now, even with the remasters, I will be honest with you there. And the gameplay compared to the modern Assassin's Creed games, again, might feel a little bit dated, it's definitely different. But do you know what? None of that stops them being brilliant. There's a reason that Ezio is consistently ranked as everybody's favourite assassin. It's because the games he was in were absolutely fantastic. His story is superb, and you can give Assassin's Creed 2 credit where it's due for launching the series. Yes, the first Assassin's Creed game was received well, I liked it myself, but it was really Ezio's trilogy which cemented it as the behemoth it's grown into today. You really get to experience Ezio's journey, from spoilt young man to wise assassin and everything in between. I really don't think I will ever tire of these games. I've got part 2 coming soon, as well as plenty of other stuff. So if you don't want to miss it, or you just want to do me a favour, don't forget to subscribe. See you soon.